Director of Communications for the Dr. Bawumia campaign team, Dennis Miracles Aboagye. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I believe you must be tired, having stayed up or late for that press encounter with the flag bearer.
We're already on the road. You know, we are touring some other constituencies in Accra, so we're currently at Aboagye West.
Very well. I'm sure you did your own assessment after the program. Kindly help us understand how it went from the perspective of your team.
Well, the objective was quite clear. We have a manifesto launched, which clearly sets out the vision and the policies of the party and the flag bearer going into the elections. And it was very crucial that we deepen the dissemination of the manifesto and engage the people through the media on critical issues. I think you'd agree that we have never seen a certain vice president or even a flag bearer subject himself to such long hours of grilling, questioning, and engagement with the media. I mean, we've had flag bearers engage the media on several scores, but you would undoubtedly agree that 4 hours of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's engagement with the media yesterday was quite frank, was brutal, it was intense, and rightly so, it was engaging. And for me, I think that is what the objective was for us, and it was quite clearly met.
For those who say that the vice president did not have direct answers to some of the questions and fell into the manifesto to read out what he had already promised, or in some cases where he couldn't make reference to the manifesto, sought to jab the opposing flag bearer, that's John Dramani Mahama, what would you say to such persons?
Well, what would you want me to do? You would want me, as a vice president or as flag bearer, to be telling you things in the air and just throwing your words around, or you'd want me to contextualize it and tell you exactly what it is. I don't believe that the expectation is for me, the flag bearer or the vice president, to be reciting things on top of my head, whether I believe in it or not. There is absolutely nothing wrong for anybody at all to receive a question and make reference to the specific documents that have the specific data and information and to respond to it. I mean, I could tell you that I have created millions of jobs. Another person would tell you that I have created 1,000 jobs. I think that the best answer is the one that is definite to tell you that I've created 1,000 jobs. The one that is evading is the one that says I've created thousands of jobs. And I think what Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia sought to do was to provide answers that are quite definite and quite specific. And I think yesterday he did justice to that. For each of the questions that were asked, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia took his time without haste to respond to them. And he also ensured that in his responses, he made references to various issues that are related and connected to these questions. And I think that is what the Ghanaian people are deserving of and were expecting. Because if you're home, tuned in, and watching Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia give you these answers, you would want to hear the answers and so many other things that are related and connect to you. And I think he did just that. I don't think there's absolutely anything wrong at all with you speaking to the vice president or the flag bearer and he giving you definite answers, specific answers from his manifesto. The manifesto is the basis of his request for us to make him president. The manifesto is a document that is basically keeping every single pledge and promise or assurance that is given to the Ghanaian people. And I think if there is anything at all, he did right by referring to the manifesto in every single sense to ensure that we are all connected and all on the same page as a people going into the election.
For a sector as critical as the cocoa sector, I mean, you would expect that if the vice president, of course, flag bearer of the MPP, is meeting the press, he would have enough briefing to be able to answer questions on this. But it appeared as though the vice president says he didn't have all the briefing and could not respond to some of the questions within the cocoa sector.
He didn't say that. And again, that is the problem with a lot of these. Go and play the video again. The gentleman who has the question asked a specific question. He says that the cocoa board is on the verge of collapse. That is what he said. And that what is he going to do about the cocoa board that is on the verge of collapse? And the vice president's answer was categorical. He says he is not aware that the cocoa board is on the verge of collapse, and he doesn't know what he is talking about and which data he is referring to. I think he responded to the cocoa board question and responded well. The fact that you are saying that cocoa board is on the verge of collapse doesn't make it a fact. And so if I'm not aware that cocoa board is on the verge of collapse, what you need to do now is to show and prove that cocoa board is on the verge of collapse. I don't have to come and prove for you. And the vice president doesn't believe that cocoa board is on the verge of collapse. And I think he responded to it. I don't think cocoa board is on the verge of collapse. So if you come and ask me what I would do about it, I'm sorry, but cocoa board is on the verge of collapse. And I am not aware that cocoa board is on the verge of collapse. He did not, under any circumstance, evade that question. He responded to a specific question. It had nothing to do with cocoa sector. It was specifically to cocoa board. The gentleman says it is on the verge of collapse. And he says he doesn't know what he's talking about, because as far as he knows, cocoa board is not on the verge of collapse, and he's not aware that cocoa board is on the verge of collapse. And I don't think that even as we speak now, cocoa board is actually on the verge of collapse. That is false.
But are we aware of the challenges in the cocoa sector? And if we are, how do we intend addressing them?
But he was not asked a question on the challenges in the cocoa sector. I hope you are putting that on record. The question was on cocoa board being on the verge of collapse. It had nothing. There was no question yesterday on the cocoa sector. If there was a question on the cocoa sector, he would have responded to it. He was asked whether cocoa board is on the verge of collapse and what he would do about it. And cocoa board is not on the verge of collapse, and that's exactly what he indicated.
Very well, but what is in the manifesto for the cocoa sector?
I mean, there are several things happening within the cocoa sector at the moment. You'd realize that we have a lot of old farms as we speak in the country. And there's a program running that is ensured that we rehabilitate and resuscitate these farms to help boost our production. You'd understand that in the past few seasons, cocoa production has gone down. And two critical things. Our cocoa farms are not producing as much as they used to. And then we're going through the challenges of smugglers. And so these are things that cocoa board has clearly come out to indicate what strategies they are putting in place. They've spoken about the hand pollination schemes that they are putting in place. They've spoken about the rehabilitating of these farms, that they are incentivizing the farmers to cut down the old farms, regrow them, and in some cases even giving them monetary support to motivate these farmers to get into this rehabilitation of these farms. And that is what is being done at the moment. And you agree that these things, once you put them in place, because it's cocoa, you give yourself some 2-3 years before you begin to see the results. It happens within the cocoa sector periodically. At some point, you'd have a lot of aging trees, a lot of aging farms across the country, and you have to go through this process of rehabilitation. And that is one of the things that cocoa board, I think about 2 or 3 days ago, I heard the cocoa board CEO speak about some of these and some of the strategies they are putting in place. And these things are ongoing in the effort of trying to ensure that we improve our production.
Very well. Now, you say you're back on the road. Which areas are you visiting, and what message is Dr. Bawumia preaching to the persons in these areas?
Well, this afternoon, Dr. Bawumia had an engagement with the people of Aboagye West. In fact, he met some traders in the area, and clearly he had a conversation with them on the Women Traders Empowerment Fund, which basically is a fund that he believes is crucial in boosting women trade, women businesses, so that they can expand and do more. He's basically visited Aboagye not earlier on in the morning, and he's just about to wrap up with the community engagement with the people of Aboagye West. And for each of these constituencies, the message is simple. We have built a foundation up to a point. We have seen successes and we have seen challenges. Based on the foundation that we have built, Dr. Bawumia remains the best pair of hand going into these elections to protect the successes that we've chalked so far as a country, in the same effort of mobilizing the rest of the country to pursue what is outstanding for us to be able to get to where we are going to. And for each of the sectors and for each of the category of citizens, he has a message for them. For the traders, he's pushing for expansion in production, incentivizing and motivating them so they can have some capital reinjection into their businesses. For the people, for the ordinary person, for the young, productive Ghanaian, for the citizen in Ablekuma North and Ablekuma West, he says that we need to move away from the era of having cash to be able to access the basic necessities of life. With the digitalization that we have introduced, with all the synchronization we've done, with the databases that we've synchronized across different touch points, it's time for us to be able to build a very composite, comprehensive credit scoring system, which will ensure that the young Ghanaian person or the Ghanaian citizen everywhere would be able to access the basic things they require and pay small. This, and in turn, would help boost demand, increase the demand of these things. And then, of course, once the demand is high, we need to be able to meet the supply end. And so it will help businesses to be able to expand. And as these businesses are expanding, they would have to employ a lot more people. The manifesto is heavy, 90% on jobs and businesses. And that is what Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is preaching to the people of Ghana.
Very well. Thank you so much, Dennis, and we wish you well.
Thank you, too.
Dennis Miracles Aboagye is the Director of Communications for the Dr. Bawumia campaign team.